multiple images for focus stacking. In a previous video I discussed how I tweak images for the color and contrast I want. And here we've got 5 images that compose a focus stack, and I'll discuss the setup that you do, or the processing rather, prior to actually doing the stacking. By the way, one of the things I like to do is layer the images in Photoshop so I can eliminate any unnecessary frames. Obviously, you don't have to layer them, but you might want to look for, say, like zoom in to the images and then say, well, gee, okay, does this one's at infinity, does that look sharp? Does the next to the last one look sharp, and so on? And sometimes you'll have duplicate images, images that have motion blur, and sometimes you can remove an image that you don't need, or there's just extra ones. The camera is sort of shot past the farthest distance in the scene, so get rid of those, put them into like a subfolder called No or something, and don't work with those because they'll just confuse the stacking. All right, so I've got all these frames in Photoshop in Adobe Camera Raw, and I will do a select all of all 5 frames on the left. And notice that you almost always would have the same processing for each frame. So if you don't have that, you can say copy all edit settings here, and then you can go to and then select all and say paste edit settings. Now I've already done that, but make sure they're all the same edit settings, including sharpening. And what kind of settings do you want for focus stacking? I would strongly advise using Adobe Camera Raw Enhanced Details. Right here, pick that. Denoise 10, Enhanced Raw Details. Nothing fancy, none of this super res stuff. That's pretty much crud. So I'm not going to do this right now, but for a real stack, I would enhance these 5 and then operate on the enhanced ones. Okay, so once I've got these selected, they've been enhanced. I've set all the settings the way I want them as per previous videos. What do you do now? What you'll do is you'll say save images, and I say save in a new location. I use a folder on my desktop called Out, just because that's where I put stuff. File naming you don't need to mess with. The format should be TIFF. I include all metadata. I don't use compression because that takes time. And here's the important one, color space. You pretty much want to work in ProPhoto RGB. That's a wide gamut color space, so you don't clip any colors, and 16 bits. I always work that way because it means you won't lose anything if you got like really bright reds or really intense colors. You don't want any image resizing typically, or extra output sharpening. That output sharpening is all controlled back over in the settings on the right. Now, if you had a really large number of images, you might say resize to fit and then attempt stacking. If you have 200 of them, maybe you want to size them down to like, 2,000 across and just test it first to see if the stack's going to work easily or not work easily. I almost never do that because it's landscape and things are fast enough. Anyway, so we'll say save. I'm not going to do that right here. And then they'll be saved there, and those are the files you're then going to use for your focus stack. Done.